good morning, everybody, and to my Tanzanian colleagues who are listening in, habari za asubuhi. I'm going to be talking about Tanzanian gold, and in particular, our resource growth and our production growth. As usual, obligatory cautionary note. So what we're about is production growth. We're also about expanding from our oxide plants into a massive deposit of over 2 million ounces in the sulfide expansion. And then I'll also be touching on our exploration upside, which is really quite considerable. So as of today, we've commissioned the first of our ball mills on the oxides, a 360 ton per day plant that's producing about 750 ounces a month at less than $800 an ounce. And our Q2 cash costs were in fact $796 an ounce. We're producing profits. We're getting over 90% recovery out of the oxides. And we're well on our way to expanding that plant, the oxide plant, to over 1,000 tons per day, which will give us in the order of about 15 to 20,000 ounces per year. This in turn allows us to really now look at the sulfide expansion. The oxides being about 10% of the deposit, about 200,000 ounces. Altogether, we've got 2 million ounces as delineated at the moment. So we have undertaken preliminary metallurgical studies, which again is showing us about 90% recovery. We've drilled a further 19 holes for variability studies along the entire 1.8 kilometers that's been drilled to date. And we're obviously focused in upgrading resources in upsides on the main deposit. Geotech work has commenced. The ground conditions are superb, to quote the geotech engineers, and we anticipate to have very competitive stripping ratios. So we're evaluating that project over the next 18 months to refresh and renew the PFS. And we're sort of as a ballpark aiming for initial 2 million tons per annum, and then probably another module on top of that afterwards. As a geologist by background, I am, of course, always excited by the exploration upside, and it's why I'm at the project. Is because I think there's so much more to be found at Buckreef. The main zone remains open, and quite literally in all directions, to the south, the northeast, and at depth. And currently, our first exploration drill rig is now 300 meters north of the prior resource. We've just commissioned in a second drill rig over the last week, and that'll be doing some of the resource upgrade drilling. We will then use that rig to further expand the work at Buckreef West and Anfield Zone, which is a major new discovery, which I'll touch on in a few minutes. We've got further prospectivity at Bingwa and Tembo, which are both historical. And we have over 7 new target generations on the immediate property of 16 square kilometers. So that's in summary. And of course, where are we? We are obviously in Tanzania. Our neighbors include Geita Gold Mines, which is 30 kilometers to the north. We're along strike from Barrick, both the Bulyanhulu and the old Tulawaka mine. And in the same region, of course, there's OreCorp with their project that's in development as well. So it's a very well-established mining region. And just to affirm, we've got 2 million ounces of gold in measured and indicated, running at 1.8 grams a ton. So we're in a very significantly well-endowed region, and as the saying goes, if you want to look for elephants, go where elephants are. We have a new and refreshed management team that has been on board for about a year now, and just very quickly, we're headed up by Stephen Maloney, our CEO, who's a former partner and director at PwC, myself with a mining and geological background. And many of you might know Mike Leonard, who is our CFO, who's a former head of IR for Barrick, very distinguished individual. Khalaf heads up our Tanzanian team, again, that's an established and distinguished businessman from Tanzania. And then the team that takes the credit for building the mine over the last year is Gaston and Isaac, who is the geology manager in the 2IC, and Gaston as being the general manager. Our team at site is 100% Tanzanian. So if we look at the last year's activities just very quickly, as I mentioned, we've got a whole lot of issues out of the way. We've extinguished legacy liabilities, we recapitalized, we've raised over $30 million in the last year, and a further 10 million of equity line of credit. We're well funded, we're producing gold, and as I said before, we've commenced that oxide plant. Over the next 12 months, what you can expect to see from us is further results coming out of the exploration to the northeast, to the south. We'll be doing that infill drilling. We will commence drilling at the Anfield Zone. We will continue to evaluate targets. We've also completed land compensation, $2.6 million, over 960 project-affected persons. One person left to sign up, and so we've been very successful with that. We'll also be starting some condemnation drilling. I shan't spend too much time on this, but I want to just again leave this image with you that we are on the main deposit on the top left, open at depth, open to the north, which we're drilling, open to the south. We've advanced the Buckreef West Zone, which is a splay off the main zone. But the main thing is, for us, has been the Anfield Zone discovery. It's a new zone that sits between a historical resource to the northeast, called the Eastern Porphyry, and an operating mine by a Chinese group to the southwest. There was one set of artisanal workings which is demarcated in the white on the image here, which gives us over 3 kilometers of strike length. But some of those grab samples, the grab sample on the bottom left there, has come back at 28 grams a ton, 37 grams a ton. It's quite clearly a wide zone. The artisanal miners were mining the high-grade core over a strike of 25 meters at 2.5 meters width at 30 grams a ton. Quite simply, we don't know how wide this is at the moment. When we sampled the waste piles, they themselves were running at 2 to 5 grams a ton. So a lot of excitement to get drilling on this one. A few photographs from the expansion. You can see that the plinths are going in at the moment for the 2 new ball mills. The foundation work for the expanded tank field is going in place. That's all visible on the photographs. And then just a quick aerial shot from the drone to the northeast. You can see our starter pit has commenced. We're mining at about 10,000 tons a month at the moment. And quite literally, the deposit here is about, mined so far, we've exposed about 800 meters. There's another kilometer to the northeast on that photograph, and as you can see, it's flat-lying land. There's no immediate community. The deposit comes to surface and is steeply dipping. In terms of the sulfide development project, there's an old PFS study which we inherited. Every single one of those metrics is to be beaten, and we will continue to convert those resources to reserves. We will continue to validate metallurgical results. So far, it's all going very well, 90% recoveries. We'll evaluate the phased development of the sulfide project, so we end up with a project that is going to be in the 150,000 to 200,000 ounces a year producing, and that all ties into the increased annual production. We finalized the site layout already. The geotech work is carrying on, and right now we're evaluating the tailings characteristics for dry stack tailings. We're very committed to put dry stack in for the sulfide work, and we've completed the species at risks, and there's no major issues there. As you'd expect from an executive of a junior mining company, we of course are undervalued compared to our peers. We know there are some, and has been, some historical legacy issues with the company. That's why we've been brought in to build this mine. And as we continue to build it, to continue to develop our cash flows, so we expect to see by many of the typical metrics here, PNAV or enterprise values of dollars per ounce, we expect to see these continue to increase as the company gets reevaluated in the market. We also intend to build a mine compared to some of our peers, and these are all sort of large-scale open-pit mines. We look at the all-in sustaining costs, we look at the grade. We want to be in that bottom right-hand quadrant. We're right on the edge at the moment. So as we continue to drill, continue to expand, so we will move into the bottom right-hand quadrant, making a company of some considerable value. ESG, it's in our blood. I myself am a former recipient of World Bank financing with another project, so IFC performance standards is something that I work to. And both the environment, the social, and the governance side of things have all been covered by us, as you can see on these diagrams here. We're particularly focusing on elimination of poverty in the region and education. So your key takeaways in the last 16 seconds here: we have a substantial permitted resource, new and rejuvenated management. We're expanding our oxide production. We have potential for resource expansion. The sulfide development project is coming on, and we believe we're very attractively evaluated compared to our peers. And there will be a lot of news coming out over the next 12 to 18 months. And with that, I thank you for your time and wish you a very enjoyable conference. Thank you. Bye-bye.